My name is Mfundo Mlilo. I'm the director of the Combined Harare Residents Association. On my left is Marashe Moyo, who is the board chairperson of CRA. Following him there is Tabani Moyo, who is the spokesperson of the Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition. They are here in solidarity with us. And Samuel Wadai, who is the director of the Vendors Initiative for Social Transformation. We have called this press statement in response to the chaos that we saw yesterday with regards to the ban on the combis. So we have a statement that the chairman will read, and then we also have other solidarity statements that will be read, and then if there are questions, we may be able to take those. So over to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Director. And once again, let me apologize for the timing of this press conference. Please accept our apology. Before I read the statement, I want to make it very clear that we had cases yesterday where the right to life was violated. We had cases where some trigger-happy and perhaps frustrated cops opened fire to unsuspecting citizens and commuters, or even residents, if you want to put it that way, to the point of killing some of them, thereby violating the right to life, which is enshrined in our constitution. This is part of the supremacy of the country. So, without much ado, let me get to the statement from the Combined Harare Residents Association. A press statement on the ban of combis in the city center. The Combined Harare Residents Association has noted with great concern the continued interference by the central government in the operations and day-to-day administration of urban councils. There is a clear and disturbing trend towards the militarization of the Zimbabwean state, which has resulted in armed soldiers and police being unleashed on unarmed and poor civilians in the capital of Harare. We note with great concern the chaos that ensued yesterday following the ill-advised decision by the Ministry of Local Government and the Joint Operations Command job to ban combis in the CBD. Following a huge outcry, the Ministry of Local Government, Honorable Julaimo, quickly moved in to reverse the infamous decision and laid the blame on the city, on Harare City Council. This is nothing but cheap politicking, which can best be interpreted as a ploy to discredit the opposition ahead of the watershed 2018 elections. We are concerned that ZANU-PF electioneering has come with heavy costs for the residents of Harare. The decision by the Minister of Local Government and the job to ban community omnibus from the CBD clearly reveals our long view that there is deliberate militarization of all institutions, including local authorities by the central government. There is a deliberate attempt by the government to capture local authorities through the use of state apparatus in direct disregard of the principle of devolution and the jurisdiction of local authorities as espoused in our constitution through chapter 14. We are perturbed by an exhibition of intolerance and the use of force by the central government when the nation is still healing after 37 years of inhuman treatment by the Mugabe-led government. A new order and era should show the propensity to reform as well as to respect citizens' constitutionally guaranteed rights. We are in chapter 4. Any town planning of the 21st century should not be seen to be barring access to the CBD, but rather strive to increase accessibility through the use of smart solutions that take into consideration the costs and impact on the residents. A progressive city must endeavor to increase access to the core by its residents. This must be done in a manner that reduces traveling costs and time. The city center is the engine of the economy. And if the economy is to grow, mechanisms must be put in place to promote that. With cities with more than 4 million residents, but no one has ever thought of banning the movement of people in and out of the city. We are all aware of the negative externalities that emanate from a congested city And as a progressive residents association, we are ready to engage with the local authority to find a human and sustainable solution to this problem. The solution cannot come at the cost of poor and vulnerable people who use combis as public transport. I welcome you, Mayor. We are pleased that the authorities have realized that the mistakes and moved swiftly to correct it, although it was, in my view, a bit late because we've already lost lives. We also would like to state that since the takeover by the new government, we have witnessed the harassment of vendors in the CBD by the military and the police. The assault on residents is increasingly becoming worrisome, and we are beginning to question whether the new government has learned anything from Mugabe's 37 years of misrule. Late yesterday, 2 innocent civilians were shot by armed police at the Seke road flyover following a clash between police and combi operators who were resisting an irrational decision by the Minister of Local Government to ban combis from the Central Business District. These events paint a sad and worrisome trend towards continued violation of fundamental human rights and abuse of the military to further partisan and ill-advised central government decisions. CRA therefore demands the following. Number 1, the government must respect, promote, and uphold the new constitution. 2, that proper consultations be held with the view of either revising a rail transport model or coming up with a people-centered commuter transport model. The soldiers, the military, immediately go back to the barracks and allow authorities to carry out or to carry on with their duties without interference. It was once announced that Operation Restore Lagos ended sometime in December, but we are wondering whether it was really true. Number 3, that that the central government respect the principle of devolution by entrenching constitutionalism in all its operations. Next, that the Minister of Local Government must facilitate the speedy realignment and harmonization of local government laws with the new constitution. And last but not least, that the authorities respect vulnerable groups by coming up with a transport model that is affordable and accessible.
Welcome, Mayor. It is our position as Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition to stand in solidarity with our membership and the peoples of Harare and Zimbabwe at large during this time of policy inconsistencies. In our statement, which I will abridge because of the nature of our presentations, I will not go in full because most of the things have been captured under the CRA statement, which we are fully solidarity with. In this regard, the Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition condemns in strongest terms the fatalities that occurred in CBD, in the inappropriate and violent law enforcement process.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Just like the Crisis Zimbabwe Coalition, this is not going to be a statement, but just a show of solidarity with Combined Harare Residents Trust. We remain very clear, as he said, that the Harare City Council must be allowed to operate without undue interference from the Minister of Local Government. We represent street vendors, and I think for a long time now we have seen how the interference from the Minister of Local Government is affecting the city fathers' capacity to deliver, not only to residents but to us as vendors who are trying to make a living in this very harsh economic environment. So we continue to urge the Minister of Local Government to respect the constitution of this country. And the issue of devolution, Comrade Mulilo, has become very critical now. We don't want people who want to take advantage of the season that we're getting into, the elections, you know, to paint a bad picture on people who must be allowed to do their work. I think the Minister of Local Government tried to politic yesterday, but our eyes are very, very wide open. We know how he's trying to, you know, to put the blame on the local on the city fathers, but we know how he has been trying to disturb their ability to provide services to residents and to us as vendors independently. So we continue to urge the Minister of Local Government to allow the city fathers to deliver services without undue interference. Then about the loss of life, it is unfortunate that we have got such a situation where live bullets are used in any situation. We condemn this in the strongest terms, and I think the law must take its course. We must ensure that those that are responsible for the deaths are held to account. This cannot go unchallenged. We've got courts. We've got this cannot be a banana republic. We must take them to court, and they should pay for this. I hope we will be able to move forward in a united way and ensure that the government pay for this loss of life. So I thank you for the opportunity.
On 20 January 2018, the Ministry of Local Government issued a press directive based on the government's 100 days work program, to which, in accordance to them, illegalities in the CBD must be stopped, and this included banning of combis and an express invitation to General Chiwenga, the Vice President, to help bring security people to restore order in the CBD. Pursuant to that, on 22 February 2018, the directive was implemented, and people started to inform the mayor of Harare of the numerous problems they were facing due to the ban. The mayor issued a plea to the ministry detailing the suffering of the people around 12 p.m. and pleading for quick action to rescind that government ban. The Minister of Local Government at 3 p.m. responded by rescinding his earlier government direction, banning combis from the CBD. It is important to read the wording of the minister's statement, in that it never rescinded any council decision, because if council had made that decision, the minister would have quoted the resolution, and in the minutes of the meeting, he was rescinding. This wasn't the case, because the council did not make any such policy decision. We as council wanted to thank the minister for seeing sense in what the mayor pleaded for on behalf of the people, for directing the JOC sees its ban on combis from the central business district. We also regret the loss of property and life during this unwarranted, premature, hurried, unresearched, unconsulted government decision. We must all strive to protect the unnecessary spilling of blood on our streets, and on our part as council, we promise not to be part of any Murambatsina phases. As you know, we were not part of it in 2005 during the Chombo era, and the part two, which was being pushed for now. We remain committed to cleaning the city with a human-first approach, and we are ready to work with the central government as long as they understand our humanly approach to issues of local governance. Finally, we pay our condolences to the family of those who have lost life last night through police shooting. We urge the government coherence in policy, because if the Minister of Home Affairs had heeded the call by his colleagues in the Ministry of Local Government around 3 p.m., then such loss would have been prevented. As council, we will look at how to help the families of in our next full council meeting. We appeal to the people to understand that we are battling to solve the problems. Over 30 years, we assure residents that we will engage the combis, vendors, in an attempt to solve the problems. in a citizen participatory manner of governance. These problems will take time to solve, but will eventually be solved. We also ask the government to give the constitutional 5% budgetary requirements to local authorities in order to speed up our service delivery to local authorities. Thank you very much. May God bless the people of Zimbabwe. It is also important that in sharing that information, that this has never been any decision of council. This is reflected by the pictures of people who were implementing that directive, and this is quite self-explanatory from the pictures. I think you can have them.